All right. We did a little switcheroo this week, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit y'all this week. So we're gonna talk about is sex sacred. But before we get into that, we are the four elements. So I am your boy Earth.
And I'm water.
I'm Win.
I'm fire.
All right. So you guys ready for this conversation? You
Yes,
ready?
sir.
No.
All right. So the question is sex sacred? Because a lot of times you hear people saying, oh, sex is so sacred. Sex is meant for this. Oh, sex. You know, we say those things. But do we really know what we are saying? That is my question. And so we're gonna look at a couple of things tonight. So just kind of everybody reserve your opinion just for a minute. Because I know many of you say, oh yes, sex is sacred. Sex should only be between people who are married or people in committed relationships or blah, 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 blah. Okay. So now break this down for you really, really quick. So we're gonna look at the definition of sacred or sacredness. It reads.
Hold on. I thought you were gonna say let's look at the definition of sex. I just knew. I was like, this guy's gonna say, let me get the definition of sex.
Wow. Not quite.
All right,
here's the definition. Sacred describes something that is dedicated or set apart for the service or worship of a deity, is considered worthy of spiritual respect or devotion, or inspires awe. Well, it may inspire that, or inspires awe or reverence among believers. That is the definition. So before I give too much more of my input, I want to turn it over to the elements based upon. Well, let's back up. Prior to me giving the definition of sacred or sacredness, what was your view of whether or not sex is sacred, and what is it now?
Go ahead, nasty guys. You go first.
The crowd goes wild.
Oh man.
Go ahead, water.
All right.
You want me to hit the definition again, or y'all straight?
I wasn't really listening to the definition. I'll be honest. So
all right.
I'm just gonna be honest. So I know Fire. He's Captain Note Taker over here. So he's got all the he's got all the notes. But let me just say that when I saw the show title, okay, just for the audience, sometimes we don't talk about these things. We just jump on here cold. So I kind of jumped on cold without hearing this, and I'm like, dude, this is some clickbait. This is a clickbait title. When came up with this title right here? That's what I was thinking. Because who in their right mind, beforehand would say that sex is sacred? Okay, who would say that it's sacred? Of course, that's why I asked it like that, because I already knew. We already knew who was going to raise their hand. We already knew who was going to do that. So, Fire, sex is sacred.
Are you clear about the definition?
See, he's deflecting because he don't know what the heck you're talking about.
No. I heard the definition, but I wasn't really listening to it. And he asked, hold on, he asked before he read the definition. So that's where I am.
Okay. All right. So I think what he did was he asked, what was your perspective before the definition, and what was your perspective after the definition?
So I'm still on the before. But it's okay. You're not gonna let me get there, but I'm gonna get there anyway. So so after the definition, I could see how it could be positioned that way.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Win.
You want to be the cleanup man.
I mean, I'm always going first. I think, you know what I'm saying, I should have my day in the sun. I ain't got no hat on.
All right, so before you read the definition, I came in with the assumption, or not, I wouldn't even say the assumption, but the frame of mind that yes, sex is sacred. And more fundamental than that question, you know, I think, you know, are we sacred? Is our bodies sacred? Like, so if you read any scriptural text, you know, it doesn't matter. It pretty much states that man is a reflection of God, right? Upon initial creation. So as a consequence, that means that we are sacred ourselves. So I'll just pause right there. I'll let Fire go ahead and bomb the rest.
My man. So I answer the question first. The first question is, before Earth's generation of or reading of the word sacred, was sex sacred to you? The truth of the matter is, there were seasons in my life where sex was not sacred. And because I didn't understand the power of the act, I was frivolous with how I dished it out, right? And so in that age, in my youth, it was not sacred. Once I got married, the two becoming one flesh took on a whole different context for me. And you know, and my transgressions and shortcomings have been spoken of ad nauseum on multiple platforms. I'm not going to keep doing that. Not for me, because I really don't care. I can talk about it till the cows come home. But there is another party involved who, you know, doesn't want to keep talking about it. So I'm not going to talk about it on this platform right now. But I will say, after your definition, I still feel the same way. Earth. As a matter of fact, I'm doubling down on how sacred sex is. It's actually more sacred now that you said what you said than it was before.
10 toes down.
Okay, great. I'm telling you, this is perfect. Now,
we stepped in this trap, you know.
I know you set the trap.
And I'm going to ask, it's going to be a basic question. Sex is sacred, right? So, when you are participating in sex, for you, sex is dedicated to or set apart to the service or worship of a deity. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
So you're having sex in the name of
our highest self. Our highest self.
What deity is this?
No. It's no higher self. It says a deity.
Yeah.
Your higher self is not a deity.
You say our highest selves
for the service of and worship of a deity.
All right, stay right there.
Yeah, this guy is running. This guy is like, I'm out of this conversation. I am out. Yeah. Like so while he's gone, you know, I just want to say that, you know, Fire and Win want to pontificate about, you know, how sacred life is, and you know, like I've always viewed sacredness or whatever. But look, guys, I mean, you know, I'm interested to see how this conversation evolves, because I really want to see where we can actually get to this whole deity. You know, the act is in the service of a deity.
It is for. I'll read it real quick. Sacred describes something that is dedicated. Keyword. Dedicated or set apart for the service or worship of a deity.
Yes, sir. Hey, tell him, Danny, it's the body worship. It's the body worship, brother. No, hey, here's the demonstration that I left the camera for. So
here we go, preacher. Come on,
so
preacher.
You see this? There's nothing in here. This is a clear bowl. Now,
Collection plate.
let's stay with me, you class clowns. Now, let's just for a moment everybody watching, all the elementals, let's just pretend that in this bottle is the essence of God. This is your spirit. This is your soul. This is the essence of God. So now I've got the essence of God in a bowl. Spirit, deity, God, the Most High, consciousness, symbolically. Okay, this is an analogy and symbolism at play, not like, okay. Now, what happens when human beings come to this plane is that this essence gets infused, or this essence is the crux, the kernel, the genesis of what becomes and what animates a human being. This is our soul. And so it doesn't matter if this soul is in the ether, in the cosmos, wherever, everywhere, as God, or it takes form in another dwelling or being, i.e., fire. What do we have in this cup right here, in this measuring cup right here? It's still the essence of God. In essence is God, whether I pour, and when I die, I go back here, or I keep coming back in the form of reincarnation. Whatever you believe in, no matter what you believe in, it comes down to the bottom line that the thing that animates me is God. So when I talk about I'm not all God by myself, I'm all man and all God, as Jesus tried to tell us he was. He wasn't telling us what just he was. He was giving us an archetype for who we are. Demigods, by definition. And so when I make love to my wife, trust and believe we get lifted. And it is a spiritual encounter. It is a spiritual encounter. And we are, what do you say? Dedication or service was the other key word.
What'd you say?
It was dedication or service.
Yeah, it is the dedication or set aside for the service or worship of a deity.
Okay. What was the next point?
So in your mind, you just made your point.
Oh yeah. What was the next one? Oh yeah.
Hey, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Time out.
1,000%.
Let me call it timeout.
Unless you resist it.
Here we go. Here we go. This comment is so on point right here. Right.
That was before the demonstration. These comments are behind, bro. So you know, there's a lag.
No. This person is saying that we all have a smirk on our face. I have a smirk on my face because I'm actually sitting here listening to fire without I'm trying not to bust out laughing while this guy is going through this whole demonstration. I mean, this is the best comment ever. I don't know what Earth and when we're smirking about, but I know what I was smirking about is like, really.
Next, shout out to Ivan.
Is this guy still gonna keep? He is really he's drinking that Kool-Aid hard.
Next point.
Look, and he doesn't want to have a discussion about it. He's like, yo,
I don't want to talk about the smirk that nobody had because that comment came before the punchline. So I can't address a comment that came before the punchline.
I mean, we all still got a smirk. I mean, we smiling.
Dude, it was the whole time, bro.
I know exactly why I was smirking. In part, the reason Water was smirking. In part, and the second part is this guy actually believes what he's saying. Like that's how I was thinking.
Believes it. That's what I was. I'm like, yo, this guy really like he really
believes it. Tall on it.
And guess what? Y'all can't like y'all can't like y'all can't prove that what I'm saying isn't true.
Oh, is that right?
Go to your second point. Go to your second point so I can dismantle that one too.
So now you understand how I feel, Fire.
Bro, like there's zero chance of me leaving this show today thinking that sex is not sacred.
You know what? I'm gonna say this one more time. Look. Wait, before I say it, look, okay. I'm going to read it again. Sacred describes something that is dedicated or set aside for the service or worship of a deity. You talked about how you feel about your wife, you and your wife, and you all are doing whatever you're doing. Sex as itself. It was never sex and my woman. Sex in this. Sex in the context of this. Sex in the context of that. Sex as itself.
Okay.
As itself, as it stands alone. Is it for the dedication or set aside for the service or worship of a deity? Sex as itself. I never said and blah, blah, blah.
And you're assuming that you have the authority on what constitutes worship and what it looks like.
I'm just look, the worship of a deity. I'm not saying what it is. It's in the context of the sentence. Worship, the sentence is telling what it's saying what it's for. I'm not. Worship of a deity.
Well, as we discussed in prior episodes, you know, language is quite interesting, and you can actually break language down into little bits and really get, like you all said last week, granular. So it really, I think that there's a disparity between your definitions and Fire's definitions. I think Fire stands on what he stands on because of that difference. And perhaps Fire could actually explain more clearly why he says what he says. Maybe it's caught up in.
I have to be honest. And Fire, this is no knock on what you're saying, bro. Like, I mean, I didn't get what you were saying it was a tangent on, because this is what the show is about, right? The show is literally about, is sex sacred? So, I mean, there's really nothing else to talk about except for this particular point. And so I didn't get where you were going personally. What you were saying it sounded a little tangential about, I guess what Earth laid out was like, he said, here's the premise. So does it fit inside of this premise, right? Before I said this, here, you know, what'd you think? And then now that I've said this, does it fit inside of this premise for you? So I'm kind of, so I would like, to Went's point, I would like to hear you kind of elaborate on that.
I don't know what else I could say that I didn't already say that would help you to get what I'm saying. Honestly, Water. I think that's just one thing that you have to live and experience or not. To me, when you ask the question, is sex sacred? It's not like an absolute definition or response that is universal for everybody, even though Earth generated it from trying to level set our understanding of language to have a common foundation and meaning so that we could determine whether or not it's sacred. But for me, full disclosure, regardless of the language or the interpretation of the language, it is sacred. Right? Okay. Because I said so. Because if the dude who was behind wherever Earth got that, was it Webster? Was it Webster Earth? Who is it?
Let me see. It is, what is this? It's Wiki.
Wiki. Okay, so even less credible than Webster. All right. so I don't care what y'all's interpretation is of what Wiki said. I said what I said, and just as Wiki got to say what he or she said, I get to say what I say, and what I say is sex is sacred, and it's sacred because I just explained to you, not just explained it, I demonstrated it with an actual. I got dishes, bro. I got dishes, and so to me, like to me, when I hear that, everything that I do with the intention of honoring the Most High is sacred. I could be singing, that's sacred. I could be washing the dishes, that's sacred. I could be living my life and helping somebody, coaching somebody, supporting somebody through something difficult. That is sacred. So to say like a conversation could be sacred, working out could be sacred, mountain biking down the hill 40 miles an hour in the zone could be sacred, playing football could be sacred. You darn right, sex is sacred. To me, I'm not putting that on y'all. I'm not saying it. See the difference. I don't have to save anybody with the sacredity of sex. It's sacred to me. It's sacred to my wife. And if it's not sacred to you, I'm not about to argue with you about that, man. You go ahead, keep having your unsacred sex. It's fine. No judgment.
Thank you.
No judgment.
Conversation ended. I think we can end the show now. Like that's the reason. Well, I guess fire and wind, they can continue to have sacred sex. And hey, man, like like you guys go right ahead.
Wind don't have to either. I don't.
Well,
I don't know what Win. I don't know. Win kind of gave some like philosophical, like sacred, like what sacred means or whatever.
No, I think what he's trying to express is that he believes that in the word it says, "Ye are all God's children of the Most High." So we are reflections of God, and what we do in our life, we might not function every day as if we are that. And that's one of the issues. But once he became conscious, he functioned in a manner in which there was that he operated as a high operating human being, a God. Does that make sense?
Good luck, Win. I get you look, you talk, I know you're talking to water. I think where do we go from here when we understand that there are varying opinions and perspectives of what all of these words mean? And to Earth's question, which is sex sacred? I think what we can get out of this, the best thing that we can take away from this is the understanding of everyone's point of view. I think we've heard enough from me. We get that you get what I'm saying, Win, but do you have a point of view of your own that is distinct and different from mine? And I can't wait to hear Earth and Water's point of view, because there could be 4 different points of view on this call. I just want to get that. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is universally absolutely true. What I'm saying is it is for me. And that is something that no one can take or change or modify for me.
But it's clear that you feel strongly about this. And I mean, bro, we're just asking the question, is sex sacred? It's not really, it's kind of it's a comical discussion to me. So that's probably why I haven't taken it serious, because it's just like funny. I'm like, why are we like, I can't even believe we're doing a show about this. And the fact that you're actually really serious about this makes it even funnier to me. So if I act a little immature, please forgive me, bro, because like it's a fun conversation.
Yeah, because I think it's a function of an individual's consciousness, right? So everybody operates on a different level of consciousness, and people that operate on the high plane consider sex sacred.
Well, but I think Fire was asking, did you have an actual opinion of yourself, or did you want to just keep being philosophical about it? I think that's where he was going. I think what Fire's trying to do, he's trying to draw a line to see who's where or whatever. So where are you, Win? Where are you?
Well, like I said, just like Fire said, when I was younger,
when you were a shorty,
when I was a shorty.
I'm sorry, guys. Like,
so because
this is the water you get in the show. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I mean, that's the water we get every show, really.
All right, go ahead. So when you were shorty.
So what I was saying is that, the lack of consciousness lends to the fact that we don't necessarily fully respect ourselves, and as a consequence, we can't respect others, right? We can't cherish others. We don't cherish ourselves, and not just in the field of sex, but just take a look at the foods that we eat. like I talked about, in another joint, we talked about love, self-love, and self-care. And I was sharing that like eating Snickers, eating Pringles is not a function of self-care because it lacks consciousness. Self-care, self-love would be eating things that will actually fuel the body and actually nourish the body and be healthy for the body. The same thing with sex. If you just sleeping around with every woman, then you're actually diminishing yourself. You're diminishing the act. You're diminishing the relationships. So that's the reason why Fire is stating his position.
That's part of it.
What's your position though, Win? Like,
yeah, I want to know. I do want to get to your position, but
I mean, what part don't you understand? I stand with you. I said I perceive the sex ought to be it's sacred. What I'm saying is that as black men, right, growing up the way we grew up, unconscious, we acted like everybody else. We were inherited, craziness.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, he was. That's how hard he was feeling it, bro. He froze his whole.
This conversation is
It's funny, dude.
this conversation it is freaking hilarious.
Dude, I'm sorry. You guys come up with more titles. Come up with more show topics like this. I'm like, our audience. I bet you they are loving this because they're like, yo, these guys actually. There's a lot more dynamic here because usually we're just kind of like, yeah, everybody agrees with each other. This one, like, it's kind of like, what is going on?
It is full of superstition. That's why I'm sitting here loud, cracking up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'll be glad when Wayne comes back because I really want to hear what he had to say about that because that is.
The comments
are crazy. All right, so people asking, am I single? No, I have a girl. So, Shavella, I have a girl. So if you consider that, I'm not married. To answer that question. Anybody else have any personal comments that like answer the elementals, guys? Don't be hiding. And when they jumped on you, bro, they said when was faking his screen freeze so he could get out of the conversation.
Nah, like I was saying.
Oh my God, dude!
He gonna skip over all the comments where folks are saying sex is sacred. He ain't gonna pull them to the.
No, it's fine. I mean, I tell you guys all the time. I stand by what I say.
10 toes.
100%.
And you're saying that it is or it is not?
No, what I'm saying is that. You guys are hilarious. So sex is sacred. However, how we deal with sex is not sacred.
Come on, man.
And there are times when, if you are conscious, then you can function as if sex is sacred. You can be like right now, if I chose to, after this show, be with as if sex is sacred, I could be intentional about certain things, right? And do it in a certain way. But most of us, we don't function in that way. That's all I'm saying.
Man, thank you. That was great. That was well spoken. Yeah, go ahead, Earth. That was well spoken, though, Wayne. I want to give you a shout out for that. So that was good. That was good. Yeah.
This is hilarious. I promise you. For fire, I'm going to read a different definition. Just for fire. Back me. Sacred. Connected with God or the gods, or dedicated to a religious purpose and so deserving veneration.
That's what procreation is.
I didn't say procreation.
I'm just saying, most people that intend to procreate are whether it's consciously or unconsciously, our intent is to actually perpetuate humanity, which is a reflection of God. That's what I'm saying, is that if sex is a sport, then it's not sacred. But if sex has intention, then it can be sacred.
So
Earth generated another definition, and it's Earth. Honestly, man, if you got any more definitions, you're only making me triple down on my belief.
I'm glad. I am glad.
You are taking me to another place with this stuff.
Well, let's hear from Earth. Let's hear his perspective.
You know what's funny? You're adding things. The things you added, I never said was there. You're adding stuff. I said sex as itself.
You're talking about the concept of sex, not even the act.
The act as itself, not that you've added anything to it.
Okay, so what I added was
add something to it. It can become something.
Yeah.
Listening comprehension, reading comprehension is at an all-time low across this country. I promise you.
Yeah. I know what I added. I know what
I know you. I know you know what you added. Yeah. I know that. But what I'm saying is, as itself, I didn't say is sex in the context of blah 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 sacred.
Yeah. Marriage,
commitment.
Yeah.
All these other things.
I thought you wanted the heat you got, bro. I didn't know I
wanted whatever came up.
Because if I'm listening to you right now, and what I'm clear about is that your initial ask had nothing attached to it, not even a for you. Like, for you, what does it mean for you? What does it mean for you? What does it mean? It was just, is sex sacred? Inherently, all by itself. You're gonna make me give a different answer. So when you do that, like, nothing has any meaning until some observer or experiencer gives it meaning. So, like, is sex all by its, like, what is sex all by itself?
That's why I kept reading the definition over and over and over and over and over.
Man, Fire, you got pretty worked up over there, bro. You and Win both.
I didn't get worked up.
I'll take what. Listen, man.
Hey,
Win. Hey, Win, bro. It's so, bro.
I'm cool. Cool breeze.
I didn't.
Believe me, when I get worked up, you'll definitely know about it.
Man, let the truth be known, Win. God dang it! Like this, like they act like that. We don't get like this on the regular, bro. Like, I don't get like this on the regular. Like, this is regular.
Just because I'm expressive doesn't mean I'm worked up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's nothing.
You
it's nothing, bro.
Back to Earth.
So the reality is, sex as itself is what? Empty and meaningless.
Empty and meaningless.
It's just a word.
All right. You did that on purpose, Earth. You sit back, set the match, set the fire, and open the beer tray. You know, this show is like, for me, it was like, what does it mean for you? So I went in my bag of experiences. And
you always make it personal, right?
I always make it personal. You know this. And I'm like, yeah. And I said to me, but then Earth reminded us of the original question. And then it's all empty and meaningless. So then we ain't got no show.
Yeah. We all knew it was a trap. So we just let it ride.
Man, you guys.
Chat is hilarious.
The comments are the most funny part of it. Well, second to Fire's whole, like,
oh my goodness,
with the bowls and the cups and glasses. Look at there, my man's drinking out of a measuring cup, just like yeah.
Come on, good night.
Oh, look, this is funny. Pull up. This is funny. Tamisha Best, pull up that comment.
This last one that she had.
Oh, she had another one?
Well,
Question.
that one.
Uh, how the sex? No, you go ahead, Fire. You're a resident.
Yeah, Fire's our comment reader.
Yeah.
So it's a question. How does sex be itself without another person?
This is specifically for water.
I have answers, but this is the safe for work version of the podcast.
Good one, bro.
That's you look. When it sits there, minus your input, it stands alone. You grab it and say what it is. It's not right or wrong. There's no right or wrong about it. Zero. It just sits there. And you say what it is. That's how it sits by itself, minus your input. Period.
You so deep. You so deep. Or this is a good show. Because the first thing that came to my mind started with an M. And all you need is you, yourself, and some good. You know what I'm saying? And you don't really. Is that not?
If that's how you want to define it, yes. And you can make that sacred.
With language.
Yeah, with meaning.
With meaning.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Ooh. This is a funny one. Kamishira. Put that comment out. This is good.
my sis Queen was.
You're gonna have to pull it because I don't. The comments are moving too fast, dude, and people have multiple ones, so you just have to. There you go.
Okay, there we go.
So from Kamisha, from the YouTube platform says sex exists with intention. It never exists by itself.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that's all we can say.
It only has intentions when you grab it, and you say it has intentions. Just sitting there, it's just there. You're putting meaning on something that's just.
So I think we should give some context to this because it, we've all done training and whatnot. So it'll probably seem a little off to people, with this whole meaning. So I think somebody should give some context to that.
Okay.
Well, I think all of us have had sex for sex sake, right? For no reason at all, no intentionality behind it, just pure animalistic, right?
But that's still an intent for pleasure.
For sex sake. Yeah.
Right. But so before we give something a description or meaning, what I'm saying is sex, it's just like this speaker, right? Someone can make that and it just sits there. And then you come along and you say, oh, that's a whatchamacallit. Then it becomes a whatchamacallit. And you define what the whatchamacallit is for, what it does. Some fire may come along and say, oh man, that's a Bose mini speaker. That's what it is. To you, it's a whatchamacallit. But without someone saying clearly this is what this is, it's nothing. You can't, it just sits there.
Okay, so let's put this a little bit in context because it's gonna pop off as weird to somebody who hasn't done so we all just to give you everyone context. We've all done, some seminars. We kind of go through, like we've gone through all of this whole mental work of making things mean things, right? So you assign meaning to things. And I think what Earth is pointing out here is that sex pretty much can be whatever you want to make it mean. As we saw with fire, and I think it was great the way that it unfolded, is that fire really just, he just ran with it. Like he really ran with it and made his meaning, and he had wind co-signing with him, right? And so we could, and so I was laughing because I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I don't know why, like what's the seriousness of of this whole thing. And I think that possibly can be liberating for people if we understand that we can make sex mean whatever we want it to mean. However, if you're not engaged in sex by yourself and there's someone else involved, then you're going to have to get on the same page with them about what it means. I think that's what I'm getting from this conversation. Fire, you were in there. Oh, go ahead, Earth.
No, I was gonna say, yeah. So, and I'm cracking up at these comments. I'm actually saying things a certain way because I'm actually getting a kick out of everybody's mind. Like, this is not making a bit of sense. This dude, Earth, has just lost his mind. I am lost. I am totally lost.
Earth, you got to make it plain, man. Why did you do that? You got to like
because so I actually love to make people think and challenge their trap, their mental trap, their superstitions, their beliefs, to show like people, like many times we're stuck in a certain way of being, and it has to be that way. And I promise you, it cannot be any other way. You have people throwing in all kind of comments. Religion, I'm Christian, I'm this, so I believe. Superstitions. And so Water said it. In life, we can take it outside the realm of sex. There's no static definition or meaning of anything. The only reason we have, or you have, the view of sex that you have is because someone said that is the view and you believed it. Whether it was verbal, whether it's through some action, it was communicated to you and you ran with it as though it is the truth. I promise you, I could take you to another part of the world. The view of sex will be totally different. It shows you the trap. I could have said, is anything sacred? Is this glass sacred? Didn't matter. Is some religion sacred? Doesn't matter. It's a trap. And we all fall into the trap. It's like the monkey and the banana. We hold on to this thing. And I can tell by the comments, people are holding on to this thing. It's like, in Africa, in some places, not everywhere. Hunters catch monkeys, simply. They put a banana in a cage, and the hunter goes and squats in the bush. Time passes, monkey comes by, sees the banana. Oh, baby, there's some free food today, baby. Sticks his hand in the cage, grabs a banana. Can't get it out, just kind of trying to figure out how to get it out. All of a sudden, the hunter just calmly gets up, walks towards the monkey. The monkey turns, sees the hunter. And the monkey's like, oh my God, doom is imminent. I need to run. So the monkey attempts to run, but guess what? Will not let the banana go. Those are your beliefs and superstitions. And the hunter just calmly walks up, has a club in his hand, and the monkey just screaming, jerking on the gate, on the bars, on the gate with with his hand on the banana. All the monkey has to do is open his hand, and it'll be free. But he won't open his hand because it's holding on to that sacred thing. And all they have to do is let it go. And the hunter just walks up and clubs the monkey upside the head effortlessly and kills it. That's how we are with our beliefs and superstitions. We walk through life as though it is emphatically true, and it cannot impossible for it to be any other way. And we have a million different ways to justify it. 1,000 ways to justify it. Because it's true. Because someone said so. And then we have all the evidence in the world to back up what is true. And the reality is, it is or it isn't. It could be both. It's true for you. Someplace else, it's totally invalid. And that doesn't invalidate either. That is the greatest issue that we have. Holding on to superstitions. It kills relatedness. It kills off understanding. Partnership, love, affinity, understanding. It will not exist because not many of us are willing to open our hands. That's all this was about. And I honestly got a kick out of this whole thing. It was just funny to me. It was hilarious. It was really hilarious. Because I just wanted to see how far people would just go and not looking for understanding in what was said. So I read the definition 5 or 6 times. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say for now.
And we judge each other and effectuate punity, because of those differences. That's why we have world wars. So much conflict around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But my thing is the truth. Cannot be any other way. But if you cannot extend grace, mercy, compassion, understanding, and be able to extend that across without prejudice, then you're trapped. You are completely trapped.
Yeah, I agree with that statement, and I think why it was funny, like why I don't know, I was being a class clown tonight is because I see a lot of myself in Fire when he was this guy when he got props. This guy was so invested that he got up and then he had props, and like he really was what I call attached. And I think that when I find myself attached to things, it really limits what's possible for me, as well as it limits. Like, I am not open. I'm 100% closed when I'm attached to my point of view, what I'm saying, what's right, what's wrong, what should be, what ought to be, or any of that stuff. When I'm attached to that, man, like, there's no getting through to me. I'm not an open I'm not open for anything else. All that exists is this one thing. Where I think what I'm getting from what you were, what your point is with this earth is that by being attached, we're limiting ourselves to what we know, which came from someone else, as opposed to opening ourselves to something different.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
That's what I'm getting.
Absolutely. Attachment limits you. It is so limiting. And that's why people will say they're weird to me. These weird cliches. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, blah, blah, blah. All these things. That's why people will say, well, this is how I am. This is how I've always been. Because you limit yourself because you're attached to how you've always been, whatever that means. And there's no space, there's no room for anything else. And you're limited, extremely limited.
Let me clear something up. The only thing that I was attached to was getting my point across. That's it. The only thing I was attached to was being heard. Not for you to adopt what I'm saying, but for you ask me questions and then give me a chance to articulate what you like. You don't ask me a question and then say I'm attached because I'm answering it. No, I'm answering the question that you asked me in a demonstrative way.
Bro, you went on for like 20 minutes, bro. Like it was pretty epic.
It doesn't matter. It could have been 35 minutes. That's one thing. The second thing is to earth attachment. I agree. Attachment. Like I got real clear when you said your second definition, and you said all that I said was these three words. Immediately, because we did the work together and we talk all the time, when we're having this conversation, I already put the fact that I'm bringing meaning to everything. We are bringing meaning through language to everything being spoken tonight. So that's already been established amongst us. So when you say, is sex sacred? To me, my default is no, not like everything is inherently empty and meaningless, devoid of the meaning that we give it. That's already a given. We know this. Why is this a whole show? So I interpreted that what you're asking me is it sacred? Is it sacred to me from my perspective and my point of view? And that's why I answered the question the way I answered it. Number three, to the comments. There's a lot of folks that are extremely confused. And one thing that I want us to consider, because I've heard this feedback from the elementals, how come you guys don't get to the questions? You know, I really would have had a question. I really would have liked it had you answered it, had earth addressed this, water addressed that, you win. And I'm like, you know what, we ain't have time. But really, if we can, like if everybody's kind of complete, I would love to give the elementals an opportunity to be heard, and give us an opportunity to the extent which we can, respond to some of these. We can't get all the questions, but like some people are asking the same question over and over again because they're not satisfied with the rhetoric. And I don't know that they'll ever get there, but I do want to make sure they know that we do care about what it is that they're saying and they're asking, and that we're trying to address it. We don't have to agree, but there's a couple of questions that are recurring.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down with that. That'd be great.
Of course.
Can you grab Quali Qual's question at 5:59? Quali Qual got about 6 questions in. We'll just start with this one. Sis, let me say this because I think this is important. Quali Qual also said, leave that one up. Quali Qual also said earlier, this is my sister from high school. She also said you can't have an effective conversation, I'm paraphrasing, without common definitions, without a baseline that we all agree on the definition. That was something that she said earlier. And I would agree with that. If you're building a house, you're trying to work together as a team, y'all looking at different blueprints, looking at different blueprints, that house is probably not going to get built to spec. But everybody builds from the same plans, that house will be built to spec and pass code, et cetera, and so forth. So I understand what you're saying, Quali Qual. I think
Hold
what
on.
really
Fire, hold on before you keep going on. Anyone else? Just go ahead and post your question in the comments right quick so we can hit what Fire is saying.
that way. Yeah, I think that what happens, Qual, in reality, that most conversations aren't being generated from the same interpretation or occurrence of the words or language that's being uttered. And that's why we have so much miscommunication and misunderstanding amongst us, right? So you're seeking to clear some of that up with some common definitions. So I just wanted to speak to that. I think you can have a fruitful conversation, and this conversation is what we're seeing is that how we interpreted the question differently from the outset. I made it mean what it means to me. Earth didn't make it mean anything. It's just three words. Not to you, not to them, not to, just is it or not? And here's the definition of sacred. Now, based on this definition, if we can all agree on this definition, is it? And the answer is no. Inherently, no. Life is empty and meaningless. And then the last thing I want to say is this. Going back to the question, attachment to beliefs or people. Please clarify. When you talk about attachment, Earth, how would you clarify that?
It could be either.
Yeah.
But in this based upon this topic, it is the attachment to a belief.
Yeah.
Something that's not real, really. It's not. You can't show it to me.
Thank you.
It's not real. But anyway.
Let's get another one. So grab Shavela Pool. This is my little cut. Oh, here we go. Risa. All right, Reese. So Risa. Is the question, is sex sacred? Have we established this? Sounds like you're on another topic. How long ago was that?
Well, the answer to all of that is you get to say.
That was 4 minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah. Good answer. Good answer, Wayne.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, anybody who was expecting this to be a raunchy conversation because the word sex is in the title, I have to say that, Wind has this fetish with clickbait, and he really, he's convinced Earth to create a clickbait title, and they got you. That's what I'm going to say, because they got me. I'd rather have not been here. So all of you who are watching this think that, you got bamboozled. I feel even worse because I'm sitting here, participating with these guys, trying to be serious when it's a total laughable situation of, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
Earth, you'll get it. I mean, Water, you'll get it. You'll get it later.
Next question.
Next question.
I probably won't.
Has Earth gone through his whole life believing nothing?
I have gone through my whole life questioning everything. How about that?
To piggyback this
And
question,
it's never that I don't. Go back. How many episodes I did the difference between knowing and belief? That was like a couple of months ago. We did an entire episode
like 10.
on the difference between knowing and belief. Go back and watch that episode, and you'll be clear about where I'm coming from. Very, very clear. That's actually a really, really great episode. It's really good. I'm not saying that just because it's the Four Elements. It's actually a really good episode.
All right, next question.
Episode 15, to be exact.
Fire, you're our resident comment reader.
Okay, so Water and Earth believe that attachment is counterproductive. This is a great question because this is what's going to make the aha happen for a lot of people. Good job. Good luck with that, guys. Go ahead.
That's easy. You want to go first, Earth, or you want me to go?
Oh man, you go first. I'm probably gonna laugh. Go ahead. This is gonna be really.
I think that attachment is actually very productive for myself. Okay, I can't speak for other people, but I think it's very productive for myself because when I get into a groove, like, you know, what fire is so resistant to acknowledge earlier, when I get like that, it's really a growth tool for me. Okay. It's a tool for me to actually see there's an area for me to grow in. And I'll give you an example. So we had this trip planned, and, you know, all four of us were supposed to go somewhere. Earth or Wind was like, nah, I'm not, you know, leaving the house because of, you know, the whole thing, you know, that people don't leave for. And Fire was like, nah, you know, I'm not going to tell you guys I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to go, but I just never bought my plane ticket or something. Right. So, you know, I'm trying to like coordinate all this stuff. And I was really attached. These guys know they were having a good time laughing at me, but I was really just like attached to the whole situation, being a certain way, getting a certain place, money, prices were going up because time was passing and people were, they were taking a long time to respond and reply or whatnot. But in that moment, I actually saw myself. And then I actually had a moment where I just really looked at myself in the mirror and said, dude, what are you doing? You guys are going on a vacation. And these guys will tell you, I let it go. Like during the whole me being attached, I actually was able to see that myself. No one actually mentioned it to me. I was just able to see it myself. And you guys remember that? Like there was a moment where like it was literally like it was like a cliff. I went off a cliff somewhere and just I was super attached, and then all of a sudden I was like, hey. So unlike Earth, I actually do get attached to things. Yeah. However, you know, I actually use it as a tool for myself to look in the mirror and say, you know, like, dude, I can feel that. Like I can feel the attachment. There's a certain energy that it has inside of me. So that's my answer. Earth.
I'll say this. Not being attached. I'm not really attached. I can't think of anything I'm attached to. I'm a extremely productive person. So it doesn't have anything to do with being productive or counterproductive. It has everything to do with when you are attached to something, you take it on as though it is a part of you. And when that attachment goes awry, you go along with that attachment. When that attachment, whatever that thing is highly successful, you go along with it without choice. When you are not attached, you can see the big picture and you choose willingly what direction to do, how to respond to it, minus emotions, period. And that puts you in an extremely powerful place because you're choosing willingly. Yeah. It gives you an extremely high level of self-awareness, extremely high. And so you're never at the mercy of that thing that either is successful or not successful. You are literally choosing how to respond to it. Literally. It has nothing to do with counterproductive, this or that. It has everything to do with choice, like powerfully choosing. Mm-hmm. It has everything to do with that, period. And it's in Water's example is a great example. Because the whole time I was just chilling.
And so similarly, the way that we're laughing at Fire and Wind, were no way we were laughing at Wind. It was only Fire. So they were laughing. I'm sure they were laughing at me like, dude, this guy is a comedian. What's so serious about this? We're talking about vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, a prime example would be Water. You remember what happened once we got dressed at the rental office and we walked out and my boots literally fell apart. What was my reaction?
I don't know, because I was attached to getting out of there. So I was like, dude, this guy is killing me. Like, I was like, this guy is killing me. So the short version is that we go on this trip. We're in Colorado. We literally fly in. We leave out early. You know, you're all sleepy. But we're like, okay, we finally got there. Let's go hit the slopes. We get there. It's like noon or something. And, you know, Earth, he doesn't get as ready as fast as me. So I get ready. I'm kind of like, all right, let's go. And he's kind of like still getting ready. And I'm like, all right, dude, come on, let's go. And literally he's like, all right, I'm ready. Let's roll. And then literally the whole bottom of his boot falls off. and so, but he really was just like, oh, okay, well, literally right there, there's a rental place. Let me just go rent some boots. And he took his boots off and rented some boots. While I was like, okay, man, I'll meet you there. I was like, I'm out. But he did handle it very, very well. And I think for most people, they would have just kind of probably had a reaction more like mine. And he was just like, oh, all right.
We all can attest, and even the elementals who've been down from day one, and you've been watching this show. I know you only see us this hour and some change. You all can attest that Earth is like this way, and I do want to. It's not really a challenge as if I'm saying, Earth, you're full of it, but I want to understand, because when I tell you guys I love you, none of you say it back except for Win, and maybe it's because
except for Win.
And Win's about 50%. He'll always say it back. Because I'm an attached MFer. That's why I'm fired. I think attachment is the spice of life. However, what I'm clear about is I get to choose, to Earth's point, what I'm attached to. I'm attached to my kids because I said I'm attached to my kids, not because they're my kids, because there are some parents who aren't attached to their kids as a function of their choosing. Just being a parent doesn't, by default, subject you to attachment to that which you created. So I'm clear about that. I choose my attachments. I love what I'm attached to. It makes me feel alive. It gives me a sense of purpose. It makes me want to get up in the morning and be the best version of myself. I love it. Now, for you, Mr. Earth, who says, I am not attached to anything, what came to my mind was like, man, I'm putting myself, I'm over there with you. Like, I'm living this life of disattachment or unattachment. And I'm with my lady and we making love, and I'm not attached. I'm not attached to her. I'm not attached to the concept of a relationship. I'm not attached to the act of sex. I'm not attached to nothing. How do you get down like that, bro? Like what? How what's going through when you are in that moment? How do you feel? I want to know how you feel, my guy.
Everything you just described. See, this is the trap. Someone has possibly defined for us that not being attached means that you're cold, or means that you're empty, means that you have no emotions. It means all those things. I have all of those things, but they flow freely. I get to say so. I get to choose. And when I'm excited, I'm excited.
Okay. You do experience excitement. You do experience love.
All of those things. And probably no different than anyone else. But those things don't run my life. That's the fundamental difference.
And this is the problem. See, Fire, had you been on the trip, you would notice about this guy, right? Like, the problem is that you're over there across the states. You're not around the guy.
Do you ever articulate your feelings? Yeah, you have. You have on the show. You talked about how you feel when you.
Yeah, I articulate my feelings all the time. That's the thing that because of the lack of attachment. When I say I'm not attached to anything, and there's nothing that I can think of, right? If somebody can point something out and say, "Oh, I see you're attached to that," I won't say yes or no. I'll actually sit there and evaluate and say, I am. Let me detach myself from that, literally. But that, for me, that's the thing that gives me the ability to say to someone, you know what you just did hurt my feelings. Instead of saying, what you just did pissed me the blah, blah, blah off. And go on down this whole nother road. I can literally say, you hurt my feelings.
Well, it hurts my feelings when y'all tell me y'all love me back.
I love you, bro. How about that? And I mean that.
That's all I need. That's all, bro. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can we ascend to a level of brotherhood where it's okay for me to tell you, I love you, bro, and you love you too, bro, and like we both mean that. Like, that's how I'm feeling.
Correct.
The brother from another
You know
mother.
the beauty of it? You only get what you want when you what? When you request.
Request.
Yeah. Ask it or if you don't ask or request, you get what you get.
How about you, Water? Love you, bro.
Love you too, bro. See how easy that was.
Ah.
You don't remember? Like I don't know where you got me mistaken, my friend. Like
It must be when.
yeah, you got me mistaken. Yeah, I think
When you never told me you love me, bro.
I tell all you guys I love you.
So tell Fire you love him.
I love you, fire. I love you, earth. I love you, water.
There we go.
And I wish I could say the other part that I said last weekend.
Well, you can't, even though we don't remember what it is. Yeah,
I'm sitting here like
I remind. Oh, you wasn't there, Earth. It was on
Okay.
our personal accountability call.
that you were not accountable showing up to.
oh, you're right about that.
That's a whole nother deal or whatever. That's a whole nother deal. Because you weren't attached to it. But yeah.
Oh man, the comments, I promise you.
Where's my ejection button?
That darn attachment is really if you take a moment and you remove everything you know or you think you know about attachment, you may get it.
I think
because the brain automatically attempts to take new information and put it up against old information to have it make sense. That's how the brain works. And when they don't match, it brings about confusion. It brings about, a query of questions and doubt, whatever it brings about. That's what it does.
So I think a good thing to do in this situation is to potentially, Earth, your next show be about attachment, because I think that would be a good show for you to really deep dive into that.
Okay, that works for me.
Unlike what Wynn always tries to do, I don't think having another a show back to back to do that, but I do think to talk about that because, for some people, like, in the comments, like some people are like, nah, dude, like that's impossible or whatever it is. And that's okay. Like it's totally okay if that's what like if that's the way that you view it and you think that, it's being, as Fire calls it, null, right? If you're not like, if you're emotionless or something like that. But I think to have a deep dive about it so you can kind of describe it. And I would like to see all the elementals just come into that conversation with their questions and just fire off questions. Like, because as you can see, Earth's kind of an extremist when it comes to not being attached. I'm kind of like, I can get there every so often. Fire is just like, nah, man, I'm attached to, I'm attached when I want to be attached. And Wind, yeah, I don't know, but so I think we have a robust conversation where we'd have different perspectives on that.
I don't know, maybe perhaps said a different way. I think that there's a healthy attachment and then there's an unhealthy attachment. And I would describe an unhealthy attachment as something that you are just absolutely locked in to. Like you have no regard for, whether it goes left or right. You in it 1,000%. That's a very dangerous place to be.
Got it. Fire,
But you could be emotionally like connected with something or someone, but not necessarily be firmly attached where it actually becomes unhealthy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And I will say this. When I say something, I language it a certain way intentionally. I'm very intentional about how I language things. Very intentional. And sometimes people will put their own meaning to what I said, but I language it a certain way intentionally. Just like I languaged tonight's show, and if that was very intentional. And everyone, this is a prime example. In the same way, everyone put whatever they put onto is sex sacred. boom, their life experiences, their opinions, all these things, boom, was there. Consider, this is a consideration that you're doing attachment the same way. That's why I said remove everything that you know or you think you know about attachment. If you
Danny
can
got it.
What'd you say?
Danny, like this start it's popping. Like, okay, people are starting to see the attachment. And what it means to be attached. It's our own meaning. It's not just our own meaning, it's our own occurrence, beliefs, assumptions, interpretations. It's our own experience of a thing. Like that attachment really creates the filter through which we experience life.
Yeah.
In meaning, language and meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this conversation we should leave it, go to me, and then go back to it with you. Earth, if you don't mind, I would tackle attachment.
Yeah, absolutely. Pick that up.
Yeah.
Pick it up. And you said something that was so key when you assign things to it. That is without choosing to assign, you're attached. If somebody stumped on my foot, my reaction isn't going to be to curse them out. But the first thing I'm going to get, wow, this person stepped on my foot. I'm clear. That's all they did. Stepped on my foot or my shoe. That is it. They did nothing more. And then I respond based upon someone stepping on my foot. That's how I respond to it.
Danny, you're funny.
All right, guys, you gotta wrap this up, man. Like,
close us out. Any closing comments? No.
Yes. I have closing comments.
Go ahead, Wayne.
I stand on what I said. Sex is sacred. And I say that flippant, but I think that our bodies ought to be treated well. So treat your body well. Don't mess with people that you are not to be messing with, and eat well, hydrate.
Quali Qual, come back next week. We'll tackle elementals. We're going to tackle attachment. Yes, we're going to bring definitions, and regardless of whether we bring definitions or not, we're going to talk about our interpretations and beliefs too. And we want to hear from you as well. Hopefully today you got real clear about the concept of what, not just the concept, but what we do. We don't even think about it. It's just automatic. Is sex sacred? Let me just boom. To me, heck yeah. To me, not so much. Oh, read the definition. I don't care what he said. Still sacred to me. that thing's still sacred to me. I don't care if the Pope read it. That thing's sacred. All right. But it doesn't. I don't judge you if you live a life having frivolous, unattached sex. That if you like it, I love it. Just hope you're not going around knocking people up and not taking care of your seeds and passing around STIs. Like be safe. But on next week we're going to tackle attachment. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to unpack that thing in so many ways. I'm gonna be attached to being attached, just so you know right now. And know this, because there's a lot of judgment in the comments, and it's okay. But know this. How do I say this? There's a couple things you should know about us. One, and you can go get it in Ecclesiastes if you're a Bible reader. It talks about life being empty and meaningless. It's there. But one, we understand that life is empty and meaningless, devoid of the meaning we give it as foundational. We believe that foundationally, or we know this foundationally. The other thing that I want you all to know, for those of you who don't rock with us week in and week out, is we don't live a right or wrong, good or bad kind of life. We live a working or not working kind of life by default. Like this is either working or it's not. And when it's not, it's on me 1000% to take the necessary, call audible, take the necessary actions to transform my situation to my ideal. So we live an extreme ownership life, but it's not like, oh, that was wrong. That's wrong. That's stupid. I don't get it. You know, there's a lot of that, and a lot of that's from frustration because there's no resonance. What we found to be a more effective way to communicate is to suspend how we see the world in our experience of others speaking. Because Earth actually broke it down. It is scientifically proven that human beings go to a reference point or a point of reference for everything that they hear and see to make it make sense. And when there's nothing there, there's no reference point back there, that's where people get frustrated. So we understand it. I'm just asking you all to be mindful that you're frustrated because there's no reference point for what you heard. And then when we try to use more language and you get more confused, it's more frustrating than you say something even more judgmental and condemning and, you know, this is what, you know, whatever it is that you do. I'm looking at it, I'm like, dang, but that's human nature. So look in your own life, in relationships to a partner, mom, dad, sister, cousin, uncle, coworker, look and see where that, I'm not picking up what you're putting down, so it must be wrong. It must be some BS. There must be some hot garbage. Look at where you do that in reality. And to Wynn's point earlier, when you do that, we do this by default, by the way. This ain't like me making anybody wrong. We do this by default. Notice how difficult it is to connect intimately, whether I'm not talking everything ain't about sex. It could be a member of the same sex. When you can't get over there with somebody, you're like, man, you only can connect so deeply. So I don't know who that was for, who is for. On next week, we're going to tackle attachment. We're going to get up out of here. Cuzzo, I hear you. You said you need facts and beliefs. So we're going to unpack facts and beliefs because we're going to read the definition and we're going to have a lot of different interpretations of the definition. Then what? Where we going to go with that, Cuzzo? DM me so we can talk about this offline. Give me your number, cuz. Let's talk about this offline.
Last Fire is going to talk for another 45
I'm signing off, bro. You ain't got nowhere to go.
My God.
See you on the backstage.
Next week.
Same time.
Shout out to Gail at Night for chopping it up with us.
Yes, Gail at Night. What's happening? What is happening? I just want to say, everyone who reacted from the space of right or wrong, consider, this is just a consideration. Consider that it's neither right nor it's wrong. Consider that you are just responding based upon a strongly held belief or superstition. And that belief and or superstition was not of your own choosing. That is just something to consider. Not saying it is that's what it is or not. Just consider that. And then we'll talk about it next week. Just a consideration.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace, everybody.